Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Dear students, this is part 2. Okay, syntax. As you see, syntax, when we concentrate on the structure and reordering or ordering of components within a sentence, then we are studying syntax or the syntax of language. The word syntax mainly came from Greek, okay, which means reordering or ordering or putting things together or arrangement or rearrangement. That is syntax. As you recall, syntax is the study of the arrangement of words into grammatical sentences. Symbols used in syntactic analysis, that's very important. I just explained something in board about the symbols that we need to understand the analysis of sentence. So the S stands for sentence, and MP for noun phrase. This is noun phrase, and PN for proper noun. Don't forget this P and noun, okay, proper noun. In Arabic means ism al-alam. And we have N for noun, VP for verb phrase, and adverb phrase, V verb, adjective, okay, prepositions, article or determiner sometimes. Pro stands for pronoun, and PP stands for a prepositional phrase, and so on. If you just recall, we said that there are 5 types of phrases. Number 1, noun phrase. 2, verb phrase. 3, adjective phrase. 4, adverb phrase. And 5, a prep phrase or a prepositional phrase. So we have other signals or signs. This means any grammatical sentence. This means consists of or rewrites as. And this means optional constituent, means تابع or عنصر, element. And this one and only one of these constituents must be selected. So just this is a reminder as, must have 2 elements, noun phrase and verb phrase. And noun phrase may consist of article, adjective, a pronoun, and a proper noun. Remember, the noun is the head. Verb phrase, verb, noun phrase, and prep phrase sometimes adverb. And prep phrase, prepositions plus noun phrase, like when I say on the table, in school, at hospital, and so on. But remember, verb phrase, when we just represent this on the tree diagram, a verb phrase, we will have 2 rows, verb, and then we have noun phrase. If the verb is transitive verb, if the verb takes an object, don't forget this. Okay, syntax. Once again, the grammar will generate all the well-formed structures of the language. We mean by well-formed structures means correct sentences or grammatical sentences or meaningful sentences. The grammar, we don't need to forget this, will generate, reproduce all the well-formed structures of the syntax. For example, if I say Muhammad went to Gaza, so you can say the man went to Gaza, and you can say the cat went to Gaza, but you cannot say the cat flew in the sky. So it's not right to overgeneralize rules. If I say Muhammad was born near Paris, you can say Muhammad was born near table or near room. This is unacceptable. The grammar will not generate any ill-formed structure. So the grammar will not generate, will not reproduce or reproduce any grammatical sentences or units. For example, we might say informally that in English, prepositions, we can use prepositions, near plus noun. Like when I say near Gaza, near Paris, because Paris, Gaza, Khan Yunis are proper nouns, so they don't take any articles. I can say near a Gaza, near the Gaza. For example, London, a prepositional phrase, it equals a prep phrase because we have a prepositions plus the word London. So we have to say near London. You can say near Paris, near Egypt, near Cairo, near Gaza, and so on. So can I generate other structure or other phrases using near and another noun phrase? Absolutely not. If we follow this rule, we will produce phrases like near a tree. I saw a bird near a tree, near door with dog. So this is unacceptable because we know that this is a noun. It's a noun and it must be preceded by an article, near a tree, near that tree, okay, with a dog, with the dog, and so on. So if we follow this rule, we will produce phrases like near a tree with dog. We clearly need to be more careful in informing this rule. A preposition plus a noun phrase, not just a noun, equals a prepositional phrase. So noun phrase, article, okay, or determiner, adjective, okay, noun, pronoun, and proper noun. So that the revised rule can produce these well-formed structures near London, because London is a proper noun, اسم علم. I cannot say near a London, near the London, okay? With you, I cannot say with a you, with the you. Near a tree or near the tree, with the dog or with a dog, and so on. So, grammar helps us to generate correct structures, but we have to be very careful about the way we do things. When we have an effective rule such as a prepositional phrase in English consisting of a preposition followed by a noun phrase, we can imagine an extremely large number of English phrases that could be produced using this rule. So we can produce unlimited number of prepositional phrases, keeping in mind that a prep phrase consists of a preposition and a noun phrase. I would say in Cairo, in the studio, on the top of the tree, under the table, in the drawer, okay, under the chair, in my cell phone, between Ahmed and Rami, between us, against the room, against the table, and so on. So we can produce a limited number of phrases because we understand English, so we can do this. And this is an important part of our linguistic competence. In fact, the potential number is unlimited, as we say. In, on, by, okay, I will meet you by the sea, by the bank, and so on. This reflects another goal of syntactic analysis, which is, number one, to have a small and finite set of rules that will be capable of producing a large and infinite number of well-formed structures. And this reminds us of the very important feature of language, which is productivity and creativity. So out of limited number of elements, we can produce unlimited number of structures or phrases. Two, this small and finite set of rules is sometimes described as generative grammar, because generative grammar helps us to produce infinite number of phrases, clauses, sentences, and so on. Why is it generative grammar? Because it can be used to generate or produce sentence structures and not just describe them. So we are not only concerned with describing sentences, but even producing them. So we have a tree diagram here. We have the noun phrase, the girl, remember this tree diagram. We have noun phrase, so we have this article, the determiner, and we have the noun, that is the girl. I just explained this on board. So the girl. So one of the most common ways to create a visual representation of syntactic structure is through three diagrams. So this is the noun phrase. We have two rows. We have the article and then we have the noun. So we have the girl. If we say the little girl, then we have another row that is adjective. So it would be the little girl or the beautiful girl, okay? Three, okay, diagrams. The girl saw a dog. The girl saw a dog. So we have now, that is the verb phrase, and so is a verb phrase, a dog is another noun phrase. So in this sentence, categorically, we have two noun phrases and we have one verb phrase, because this is a simple sentence. So as you see, a sentence must be divided into two constituents, that is the noun phrase and the verb phrase. And now let's forget about the verb phrase. What about the noun phrase? We have this, we have the article or the determiner, which is the definite article. So we have article and we have noun. So the article is the and the noun is girl, which is the subject. So this is a noun phrase functioning as a subject, okay? So remember, the noun phrase here has the function subject, the function of subject, and then verb phrase, okay, because this is a transitive verb, so it must have an object. So the object is realized by a noun phrase. So verb phrase, we have the lexical verb, V, and then we have noun phrase. It is divided into two elements. We have the article and then we have the noun. So a dog. So the girl saw a dog. The girl saw a dog. So this is the symmetry diagram of the girl saw a dog. If we just insert another adjective, an adjective, we say the little girl saw a dog. So here we will have, from the noun phrase, we'll have another row, okay, that is an adjective, edge. So it would be very easy for you. Okay, three more. Okay, here we have this line or this, okay, straight row, which means consist of. For example, noun phrase consists of article and noun. It is a shortened way of saying a noun phrase consisting of an article and noun. Remember, consisting. Okay, we have number two, round brackets, okay, like equals an optional constituent. Like when you say he died young, he died younger. So younger is an optional constituent or element. We say, for example, the dog. So it equals noun phrase. So the dog is a noun phrase. The small dog equals noun phrase. As you see, the noun phrase can be modified by an article, that is the definite article. Here we have pre-modification, two pre-modifiers, the and the adjective small, and the head noun is dog. When we want to use a noun phrase in English, we can include an adjective. When you can say the pretty girl, okay, the yellow book, the old man, the young man, the successful student, okay, the destructive city or the destroyed city, and so on. So when we want to use a noun phrase in English, we can include an adjective, but we don't have to, because once again, the adjective is optional. It's not an obligatory element, okay? So noun phrase, as you see, we have article, adjective plus noun. It is a shortened way of saying that a noun phrase consists of an article, art, and a noun phrase and a noun, and this symbolizes noun with the option of including an adjective, edge, in a specific position between them. So an adjective doesn't come after a noun, but it must come before it. As you know this, we can use this notation to generate the dog, the small dog, the black small dog, the black small Chinese dog, etc. A cat, a big cat, the book, a boring book, a film, exciting film, Chinese exciting film, and so on. So the reordering of adjectives before the noun is not of a great importance now. Curly brackets equals only one of the elements enclosed within the curly brackets must be selected. For example, okay, noun phrase, okay, article, noun. So you see the dog. So this is an article. This is an article, okay? The dog, and dog is the noun. So noun phrase and a preposition. So the pronouns, that is a pronoun. It, I can say someone, him, she, etc. Noun phrase, we have a proper noun, okay? Abir, Gaza, Sami, John, Jane, etc. Okay, noun phrase, we have article and noun. Noun phrase, we have a pronoun. Noun phrase, we have a proper noun, which means ism al-alam. So noun phrase can consist of, this means can consist or consist of article and noun. It can consist of a pronoun and a proper noun. If I say she will come tomorrow, so she is a noun phrase. I gave her a pen, so her is a noun phrase. So all the pronouns are single words, but they are still considered noun phrases. So noun phrase, you see article, noun, or a pronoun, or a proper noun. If I say I met Sam, Sam is a noun phrase. I met my sister Samia, so my sister Samia is also a noun phrase. If I say this boy's clothes, this boy's clothes, I mean clothes, clothes, this is a noun phrase. I say Ahmed's joke, Ahmed's jacket, so this is a noun phrase. Phrase structure rules. Okay, we can think of the tree diagram format in two different ways. Number one, as a static representation, fixed representation of the structure of the sentence shown at the bottom of the diagram. As a dynamic format, because it keeps it changing depending on the elements. Okay, as a dynamic format, which represents a way to generate a very large number of other sentences with similar structures. That's why we say language is dynamic and active. It's not always fixed. Phrase structure rules, the second approach, would enable us to generate a very large number of sentences with a very small number of rules. So we have a small number of rules which enable us to generate, to produce, reproduce infinite number of sentences or structures. Okay. If I say the verb man, the was in the garden, so the man was in the garden. There was a man in the garden. I saw a man in the garden. The garden is full of flowers. There were some flowers in the garden. The garden is large, and so on. So these rules are called phrase structure rules. Phrase structure rules state the structure of a phrase of a specific type. Remember, a specific type will consist of one or more constituents, means elements or words, in a particular order. Remember the word particular order, because the arrangement of phrases or words is not haphazard, is not random. It is systematic or according to syntactic rules. We can use phrase structure rules to present the information of the tree diagram in another format. As you see, noun phrase, okay, we have article, okay, and we have noun. So this is the tree diagram of the noun phrase. And noun phrase consists of article and noun. So we have repeated this several times so that things will be very easier for you. Okay, the first rule in the following set of simple phrase structure rules states that a sentence rewrites as a noun phrase and a verb phrase. The second rule states that a noun phrase rewrites, which is rewritten as either an article plus an optional adjective plus a noun, or a pronoun or a proper noun. So this is very clear now. That is the summary or the major point that you should consider. Sentence, okay, noun phrase and verb phrase. So a sentence must necessarily contain noun phrase and verb phrase. If I say Ahmad is coming, Ahmad came, so Ahmad is a noun phrase and came or is coming is a verb phrase. Remember, some verbs are intransitive and they don't need objects. But if I say Ahmad watched a movie, so Ahmad is a noun phrase and watch is a verb phrase and a movie is another verb phrase. So sometimes the verb phrase consists of verb and noun phrase. We don't need to forget this. Noun phrase consists of article, and this is optional. Remember, the adjective is optional, and then sometimes a noun and or a pronoun or a proper noun, verb phrase, verb, noun phrase, or a PP, which is a prepositional phrase, and adverb. A prepositional phrase must have a prepositions and noun phrase. If I say, okay, on the table, so on is a preposition, and the table is a noun phrase, okay? If I say lives in Cairo, so live is a noun phrase and in Cairo is a verb phrase. So from verb phrase, okay, we have verb and we have a prepositional phrase. Okay, then we have a preposition in, and then we have noun that is Cairo. Okay, now we focus on something different, that is lexical rules, phrase structure rules, generative structures, because this relates to generative grammar. In order to turn this structure into recognizable English, we also need lexical rules. So we have a proper noun like Mary, George, Gaza, Japan, and then we have noun like girl, dog, boy, article like a and the, and sometimes some, a pronoun like it, you, they, him, verb like follow, followed, help, say, live, see, adjective, small, crazy, preposition, near, with, against, for, by, adverb, okay, recently, yesterday, slowly, very astonishingly, amazingly, and so on. Okay, dear students, this is the end of our meeting. Hopefully that you have get the maximum benefit out of this. You know, the video is supposed to be 30 minutes, but because of time. Okay, thank you so much.